Okay, good morning. Welcome to Madak Monday Show. On today's episode, we are welcomed by Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas. Jesse, thank you for joining us.
Fired up to be with you, Adam.
I really appreciate you taking the time. I found you on LinkedIn a couple of months ago through just the exciting content that you've been putting out there. The 1 minute boost, I assume that comes out on Monday mornings, does it?
Yes, just try to experiment, put some things out, share our crazy journey. Yeah, so I've been doing that for almost 2 years now.
I appreciate it, man. That's good. And you seem to heavily focus on LinkedIn. Is that something that you're really passionate about, or do you try to disperse amongst all channels?
Good question. I think I just started testing, 2.5, 3 years ago before my book came out, and I tried to do all platforms, and I realized LinkedIn was more the audience that was very intrigued from all the business perspective. But yeah, I mean, I dabble in the other ones and have some fun, but LinkedIn has become my main platform.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So take us back a little bit. I've done a little bit of research on you over the last couple of months, and but for everybody watching, I'd like to know a little bit about before you got into Savannah Bananas. I believe, what was the team name that you were general manager of that really started all this?
Yes, the Gastonia Grizzlies, which I never should have got that opportunity. I was 23 years old with no experience, but yeah, that was the worst team in the country. So I got that job pretty easily. But yeah, I started as a baseball guy. We all, whether you played sports, you want to work in sports a lot, but I hope to play professional baseball, tore my shoulder. That ended my career pretty quickly. And I got a job with the Gastonia Grizzlies in one of the lowest level baseball teams in the country. I mean, this isn't professional baseball. It's not minor league. It's college summer baseball. And so there's really no rules. And I realized that when I first showed up that first day, there was only $268 in the bank account. There were only 200 fans that came to the games. And the team was pretty much failing in every level. And so I had to try to think, what could we do differently? And so I remember going to the owner. I go, we can't be a baseball team anymore. He goes, what do you mean, Jesse? Well, of course we're a baseball team. I go, well, baseball's not working. And I'll tell you, we're not going to get a lot of fans playing baseball. And so we said, I said, what if we became a circus and baseball became secondary? And he said, what do you have in mind? I said, well, the normal thing is the players play. What if the players do choreographed dances every single game? What if we had grandma beauty pageants? What if we did things like flatulence fun nights and salute to underwear nights and started doing crazy promotions? And all of a sudden we started getting people's attention. So at 23, I learned the power of kind of experimenting, testing things, trying new things. And a lot failed, but some worked. And we started generating over 1,000 fans a game, 1,500 fans a game, 2,000 fans a game, and started selling out the ballpark in this little town in Gastonia. And lo and behold, I said, all right, what's that next opportunity? So I heard about Savannah, Georgia, and heard that there was a minor league team, professional baseball, that was leaving because they couldn't get fan support. And I said, that seems like an interesting challenge. So my wife and I went down there and took it on.
What year was that?
That was in 2015. So October 5th, 2015, we showed up there, and the former team had cut the phone lines, cut the internet lines, and there was only a picnic table that we grabbed outside and brought it into an abandoned storage building. It was myself, my wife, our 24-year-old president of our team, and 3 22-year-olds. So we were kids just trying to figure it out just only 5 years ago.
Well, and that seems to be a lot of your messaging as well, is to try a bunch of stuff, see what works, learn from the mistakes, learn from kind of the things that work, and just keep going, right? I mean, you don't watch, you try.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, we started, I mean, there's some very little friction points. Whatever industry you're in, for us, it was like everyone I met with, and they said, baseball's too long, it's too slow, it's too boring. Or I'd go and speak in front of a local Rotary, and I'd be like, all right, guys, how many people like baseball here? And actually people would raise their hand. I go, oh, how many baseball games did you go to last year? And like, they all went down. And I was like, you may like the idea of baseball, but you don't actually like it enough to spend your money and your time there. And I was like, we can't win this. So what, we wanted to play a game that we could win. And I think every business, should ask themselves, what business are they in, but what business are they really in? And we didn't want to be in the baseball business. We wanted to win in the entertainment business. And so we became very clear on who we're not and who we are, and then tested everything possible for, now 10, 15 plus years since we started. And that's been a real big win for us in these small bets.
Okay, so 5 years ago, roughly, you started. You bought the franchise, whatever it was named before that, because you had a fan contest to name the company, right, or name the team.
Yes. Right? Well, at first, on the company used to be called Team Cole & Associates, which sounds like a terrible law firm or accounting firm or whatever. We changed the name of the company to fans first entertainment, because that's who we are. That's what we stand for. All about the fans, entertain always. But in regards to, we bought an expansion franchise. Professional baseball left Savannah, Georgia, because they couldn't get enough fans coming to the games, and they wanted the city to build them a $38 million stadium. The city was like, we're not going to do that. You're not getting fans. So we bought an expansion franchise, came in October, and proceeded to say, all right, what are all the friction points of baseball? What are all the friction points of the experience? And we started trying to tell people that we were eliminating them, but they didn't care at first. We sold 2 total tickets, Adam, in the first 3 months. 2. It was like the best donation ever, but that didn't pay the bills. And so it got so bad that in January 15th, 2016 at 4:45 p.m., I'll never forget it. We got a phone call, my wife and I, and that we had overdrafted our account and we were completely out of money. And at that point, she turned to me and said, we have to sell our house. And so just 4.5 years ago, we sold our house, we emptied out our savings account, and we said we need to go all in to make this team work. And we went all in, and we got an airbed. We found the worst place you could ever imagine. And we started thinking, what can we do to create attention? And as you mentioned, what a lot of teams do. A lot of teams, they have, name the team contest. But you can either go the safe bet or you can go the complete crazy bet. And we decided safe wasn't an option.
Yeah. And so that really started, because you had mentioned, what's the name of the cheerleading teams? The Banana Nanas.
Our senior citizen dance team, the Banana Nanas. Yes.
Yeah. So that's just one of the hundreds of things that you've implemented. And so one of the questions I have for you is like, did you change the whole league, or is it just your team that runs by some of these rules? Because I noticed one of your other, the other teams is Making Bacon. So have you really inspired that whole region to think differently?
I think we've been inspired by P.T. Barnum. We've been inspired by Walt Disney. We've been inspired by outside of the industry. However, inside the league, and it's people that baseball's number one. For us, entertainment's number one. The circus is number one. The fans are number one. That's our focus. And then what happens is that actually generates good baseball as games than any team over the last 5 years, including a championship. So no, Macon obviously followed our suit and named the team after a food item, which we proceeded to rent a pig, and actually brought a pig to the ballpark and did the Sarah McLachlan inspired commercial where you save the dogs. We said, save the pigs, stop making bacon. And then we proceeded to buy Making Bacon urinal cakes, which we have in all of our men's urinals, so our fans actually piss on our rival now. So we decided to poke some fun at them. But yeah, I think it's hard. It's not easy to have a breakdancing first base coach. It's not easy to have a 20-person pep band or a male cheerleading team called the Bananas. It's not easy to have a luchador as a professional wrestler as your intimidation coach who does the haka before every game with your players at the other team. It's harder. And it's not easy. But it's very clear that's what we're trying to do, and mostly just laugh at ourselves and have fun. If you can't come to the ballpark and laugh and you take it too seriously, what's the point?
Well, that's great. And that's a nice segue, because in the Madak Monday email that went out this morning, there was 5 main points that came from you personally. And the first one, I'm going to jump to the second one because it talked about breaking the rules of marketing. And so in that, you talk about breaking the rules of marketing, and really you focus on attention is way more important and more powerful than marketing. So tell us a little bit about what that means to you, and mostly like, how does the smaller business, someone like a hair salon, or maybe it's not as an exciting of an opportunity like baseball to be a little bit different. How do they do things differently with in regards to attention and marketing?
Yeah. And again, this is personal experience, but if I'm in a hair salon, I ask one question: what makes you different? And I'll tell you what's not different. It's not being a little bit faster, a little bit better, a little bit more convenient, a little bit It's what can you be the only one doing? And so we ask that question constantly. What are we the only one doing? And so the way that we start, and the first step that we realize now, again, Adam, we knew none of this when we started. Now looking back, it's like, all right, I guess this pattern shows this pattern. So like the first pattern that we saw was, hey, whatever the friction points, whatever the challenges your industry, write all those down and try to do the exact opposite. We have so many hair salons and restaurants I like that restaurant. Let me kind of do it like that. Let me be a Me Too restaurant, a Me Too hair salon. That's just very difficult, because the only way you can make it is either have a better price or a lower price. And that's a race to the bottom. So we said, all right, here are the friction points. Baseball is too long, too slow, too boring. All right, what can we do to have nonstop entertainment every single half inning, as soon as fans walk in, as soon as they leave, and we map that. Also, when you go to a ballpark, what's another friction point? All right, you immediately you have to, you go to a ballpark and you think about the costs of going to a ballpark. You get nickel and dimed, and so we said, let's eliminate that. What if every ticket was all inclusive? Every ticket at our stadium, all your burgers, your hot dogs, your chicken sandwiches, your soda, your water, your popcorn, your dessert, everything for $15 when we started.
Wow.
Right? You eliminate that. Other friction points, we kept going. Like, and this is crazy. This last year, we said, I don't think anyone comes to a ballpark and wants to be advertised to. If you ever said, you know what, I can't wait to get to the arena because I want to see what ads and billboards they have up around the arena. Most people, it's noise. They don't pay attention to it. So we said, we're going to create the first ever ad-free ballpark. So we eliminated every single ad from our stadium. Pretty stupid. A lot of people are like, what were you guys thinking? But it committed to who we are. And so same thing when you buy merchandise from our website, no matter where you go in the country, it's free shipping. You don't pay $99 for Prime for a year. It's just free. And how does that model work? It works in the long run because you build a brand that people know you're going to put the fans first in every do, and you're going to eliminate friction points. So if I'm that hair salon, I would immediately start, all right, let's look. What is the friction points that happen in the experience? Is it the wait times? What happens when they call? Do they actually get their call? How are they treated when they first walked in? What's the buying experience? What about when they leave? And I would look at every one of those and how could you eliminate and create a different experience? And all of a sudden people are saying, you wouldn't believe this hair salon. They do this. And that's what we try to create, these you wouldn't believe moments that our people come to our stadium, they leave and they tell everyone. And now, as we failed spending tons of marketing when we started, we spend $0 marketing. And we're so fortunate to have sold out every game now and have a wait list in the thousands because of this learning that we've done on trying to eliminate those friction points.
That's awesome. And something I just thought of is reputation and word of mouth is way more valuable than, any marketing you can put out there.
Oh, yeah.
So what people say about you and how their experience is anything better than what you can spend money on.
Well, the stats are staggering. It's like 92% of people will trust advice or a suggestion from a friend or family member more than any advertisement.
Right.
Yet we're spending millions of dollars on ads everywhere, but not just spending on creating a great experience that friends or family will tell other people about.
Yeah. So your fans first mission, is that correct? Your mission statement is, and I like that you have a really short, simple mission statement. It's fans first entertainment, but what's the overall mission that you have at Savannah Bananas?
Fans first, entertain always.
Fans first, entertain always. And so that whole mission then kind of really drives your marketing, your focus, where you want to be spending your time and your money, which shows in everything you've done.
Yeah, it guides every decision. Think like entertain always. When we went through the quarantine in COVID and we were shut down, shelter in place, everyone on our staff said, all right, let's look at our mission. What are we doing? And so we so focused on entertaining always from home. So we started doing Facebook Lives, cooking with the bananas, where we went to each other's homes, which I don't know why we want to show our staff cooking, but we said we got to entertain and have fun. We started doing music videos with our fans. It said, send us your best dancing videos. We did Dancing with Myself, the Billy Idol song, with all of our fans dancing by themselves. But it guided our decisions. And so I think if you're very clear on who you are and who you're not for as well, we are not for the baseball traditionalists. Who in your business are you not for? And it makes it clear. And we even do the same ads for our people. We say, we actually interviewed all the people who said, who should not work for our company? And every one of our people said, change. People that can't deal with change, people that can't deal with constant movement. And so that helps us push the other way. We actually did an ad recently and said, do not apply for this job. It wasn't an ad. I hate that terminology, but we posted, do not apply for this job, as we were looking for people and all the reasons why they shouldn't work for us. And I think when you go that opposite thinking, it helps draw more clear on what you are and go after that target demographic.
That's great. I like that. So we talked about breaking the rules of marketing, which I think you just are constantly doing and showing that throughout. But one of the things we just touched on about the perfect customer experience, so when you think about that, I know you have parking penguins, right? At the very beginning, the first experience you have. But then you also have staff, maybe it's the same penguins or whatever, that are always saying goodbye and thank you, which I think is important for all experiences. After you've gotten their money, after you've gotten everything you want out of them, you're still thanking them and making sure they had a good experience.
Yeah, we learned this over many years. And I think it was, one time that I spent like $200 on a concert ticket and I just get a regular payment confirmation. And I was like, this is already starting the process of building me as a fan. And so I said, well, why don't we map the complete experience? And I know a lot of companies do this, but yeah, we mapped every touch. So as soon as someone buys from our website, they get a video. It starts with me and it says, congrats, you just made the best decision of your day. Right now, as your ticket order came on, a high priority siren went off at our stadium, and our Bananiacs rushed to the ticket laboratory to produce your tickets. And then a banana nana slowly walked in and hand selected your tickets and placed them on a silk pillow. We raised the silk pillow up in the air and sang Na Savenya Nahi to celebrate the birth of a new fan. And then we walked your tickets down to our vault where they're ready for you to go bananas. So that's the first video they get, where people are like, what is happening? And then everyone on our staff, we're all part of this, including myself as the owner. If you buy a ticket online, you will get a thank you call. Not did your credit card not work, just a thank you. And then our ticket experience coordinator often sends a playlist of music to listen to get you fired up for the game on the way to the game. And so a lot of people think, hey, they've already bought, we're done. When they buy is when you just start the process. So yeah, and this is where we've messed up in different points. I think about the first impression. As you're pulling up, we go undercover. Every night, someone on our staff goes undercover. And what I mean, it's called undercover fan. And we go as a fan, we park as a fan, we walk in as a fan, we sit with the fans, we eat with the fans, we take notes on how we can be better to be in their shoes. Just 2 years ago, I did this undercover fan, and I'm pulling in at him, and I hit a giant pothole in the parking lot. My car basically bottomed out. I was like, this is the worst first impression we could ever have. And then literally, as I'm walking by, ready to see our parking penguins, which all of our parking penguins park your cars, they were eating burgers as I was actually coming in. I was like, what are they doing eating burgers? They're supposed to be guiding me to my car. So we still have lots of areas of improvement, but now our parking penguins will greet you, they'll dance, they'll give a kid a Freezy Pop and say, stay cool tonight. Then you'll see our players greeting fans, taking pictures. Then all of a sudden you'll see our pep band playing music as they're coming in. We've had circus acts in front, including stilt walkers and belly dancers and fire jugglers. And it's just, you're setting the tone for the experience as soon as they walk in. We have a professional high fiver, which he's 6 years old. He actually thought he was going to lose his job this year with COVID. So he came up with the idea. He goes, Jesse, I want the job. Can I be the professional air high fiver? I go, you got your job back, Colton. And so he's at the gate giving people air high fives. And, you know, it's that first impression. And you're right, when people leave, there's more videos of from our fans when people are leaving than actually even when they're walking in and during the game. Because we have our full pep band set up, playing unbelievable music. Every player from the whole Bananas team is out there dancing with fans, taking pictures with fans. We have a break dance and first base coach dancing, and we have a free s'mores station so fans can get s'mores as they're leaving the ballpark. And that attention to detail we've learned over many years matters. And so when they leave, how do you make them feel? And I think that's a question, maybe a hairstylist or whatever company it is. Are you really thinking about how you make them feel? Or are you thinking, in fact, that they were just a transaction for you? There's a big, big difference.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking for business owners, all the things that you're putting into place, you know, it requires people time and hours and, you know, and resources like it. That's sometimes that can feel very daunting for people.
Yes.
And you talked earlier about it's a long-term play for yourself. So you're and I agree. It's the focus on building an unforgettable experience is way more important. And so that becomes, you know, ultimately the finances have to drive a certain thing, but at some point, somebody is not going to really care how much a Savannah Bananas ticket's going to cost because they just want to be there. They just either have been there and they can't wait to go back, or they just are just wanting to go to have the experience. I mean, I live, you know, in the Pacific Northwest, and I want to come to one of your games, and you know, it's just because of the excitement you were creating. So I think that's great.
Well, thanks. And you're right. At first, it's outthink, don't outspend. We didn't have money. I couldn't pay myself my first 2 months on the job as a 23-year-old GM back in Gastonia. You better believe my wife and I couldn't pay us anything when we were sleeping on an airbed and there was no money. And so we had to start getting creative and thinking, you know, the first thing we did was have the players dance. We taught them, said, this is different. People will start talking about that. But the idea of having, you know, a high fiver or even the pep band was volunteer the first 2 years. They were volunteer. Our Banana Nanas, they love it so much that they just want to be on the field dancing. When you create something fun, people want to be a part of it. And so it didn't take a lot of money. It took outthinking instead of outspending.
Okay, going back to the list of as 5 things, and I kind of skipped over the first one, but I think we covered it. What frustrates you about your business or industry? So obviously, what frustrated you about baseball was that it was too long, too boring. What do I
Too long, too slow, too boring. You got nickel and dimed.
Yeah.
All right, when you come in, and those were the two biggest ones. Then I started taking away the ads, and we kept having those mirror moments. But yeah, I mean, Blockbuster. I mean, you could look at all the frustration points of the Blockbuster experience, the cab experience. You could look at all the frustrations of the cab experience. 50 years ago, the airline experience, when Southwest said, no, we're going to eliminate those. Those are the big examples. But even smaller, I mean, think about your restaurant experiences, think about your grocery experiences. Just write down those friction points. Even from a marketing agency, I'm sure there's a lot of things from a marketing agency that can be frustrating for someone, or it's the way everyone else does it. And that's what we try to get away from.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked to, last 2 points are simplify your mission and break your own rules. So you simplified your mission, which drives everything, all the decision making. But then let's talk about break your own rules. What does that mean to you, and how does that drive your everyday?
You can't romanticize what you do and fall in love too much with what you do. And so our big thing is we're constantly challenging status quo. I'll tell you, I personally made some big mistakes this year, or in the past. I don't want technology in our stadiums. I was against it because I wanted to get people to escape, to not feel, hey, you got to have the bigger video board. You'll watch a TV. And we still don't have a video board. We still don't have that technology, but we committed pretty heavily to the streaming experience this year. When we had to tone down our attendance because of COVID, and we had to turn away 50,000 fans that already had tickets, we said, let's find something different. And we invested resource and time into technology, something that wasn't a rule. I didn't even want to play that game. I wanted to play this game. And yeah, we started having flying drones in the middle of games, started miking up players, started letting fans choose who would pitch in later in the game. We started breaking those rules. But yeah, I think you have to be open to, this is how we did it for 2 or 3 years, and this is how we're going to do it 2 or 3 years later. Stay true to your mission, but the way you entertain in 3, 5, 10 years for us is going to be different. And it just has a lot of experimenting and testing things daily. And for what we do is we have idea paloozas constantly. Every month we'll have an idea palooza with a new idea that we want to try to solve for our fans. And everyone in our staff comes up with 3 ideas. So we might have 30, 40, 50 ideas of what would make fans want to stay later in a game. What's something we could do with our food items at the stadium and make people say it's unforgettable? And those things are dramatically different. So it's just a concept of saying, hey, this is what worked 5 years ago, doesn't work now. And you look at a company like Netflix. I mean, if they didn't break their own rules, they would be extinct. Netflix was a DVD service.
Yeah,
they were the best. No one's really popping DVDs these days. All right. So then they immediately, and it hurt their company. They split the company in half and focused on streaming. Their stock plummeted, but they knew we had to break the rules to get to where we were going. And then they said, oh, all this other amazing content's out there. We got to break our own rules and start creating our own content. And I think, the Wayne Gretzky quote is, I don't go to where the puck is, I go to where the puck's going to be. And I think that's what we're trying to do. And that is breaking your own rules.
That's cool. That's great. And so, we talked a lot about the fans, in my world, the clients and so forth, but what about your internal culture? Let's talk a little bit about that. Your team that's executing, because I got to believe on game day and week leading up, you've got a lot of head count that you're relying on, from the parking penguins all the way to the dancing coaches. And so how do you keep that momentum up and that kind of drive internally as well, so that they have as much energy as you do, to deliver your mission and your experience?
Stories are huge. I think most companies have a mission, they have a vision, they have core beliefs. But not many companies have stories that back up those core beliefs. And so, for instance, like this one story I'll share with you right now, this has been told and retold by everyone on our team. And it involved just a 22-year-old intern that was with us our first season. And because of our mission, guiding fans first, entertain always, he made the decisions to take on, create the story. And it wasn't about the story then, it was about doing what's right for our fans. And the story's, very short, I'll get to it, but it basically involved a family that bought tickets. It was a family of 8. They bought 8 tickets, and we were calling everyone to thank them for their tickets. That's what we do. We call people and thank. And our 22-year-old intern was calling, and he called and he couldn't get through. He called again, couldn't get through. Finally, the dad answered the phone, and he said, I'm so sorry. We have 7 kids, and my wife bought these tickets for them, and she just tragically died. And Barry, who was our 22-year-old intern, came into my office and said, Jesse, what do we do? And I said, what do you think, Barry? And he goes, I want to create something special, something fans first for this family. And on the night of, he called the dad back, said, hey, we'd love to take care of you, give you a great experience. The dad said, you know what? It'd probably be good for the kids to get out of the house. So the 7 kids showed up with the dad. Barry gave him the front row seats, and he presented the dad with a jersey with the mother's name on it and with the amount of years that they were married. And then had our entire team come up and hang out with the kids, sign bats, sign balls, and just spend about 30 minutes before the game with them. The family stayed for the entire game, which, Adam, never happens at a baseball game, especially a family of 7. They stayed the entire game, and the father turned and told Barry, said, that was the last gift the mother ever gave our kids. I couldn't imagine a better gift. And as emotional as that story is, that has been shared and reshared and reshared. That 22-year-old intern has become our vice president 5 years later. And because he started with, really doing what's best for our fans. And those stories happen constantly. I had a gentleman come up to me one of our last games, and he said, with a tear down his face, he said, you guys saved my life. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I was going through some really tough times during COVID and everything. And the fact that you guys put on the show, put on this experience, I've come out and I've had something to look forward to every single night. Thank you. And it's those things. And yes, they're emotional, but it gives purpose behind why you do what you do. So for us, as we share, it's like, hey, find stories, share those. After every game, we get together and share the fans' first moments, those cool moments that someone on our staff, whether it was a game day staff member, an intern, a full-time staff member, did for a fan. And that builds the purpose and the impact of what we do, not just being crazy and having crazy promotions and give away colon cleansings and, Porta John races and all the wild things we do. There's a bigger meaning to it. And that's really what drives our company.
Well, I like that first story. The main reason why you know that story is because you called all your people that buy your tickets.
Yes.
So if you didn't put that, practice into play years before, it wouldn't have been something you might not ever found out about.
Yeah.
So that's a really great, thing that you guys learned by having that.
Well, how often do you spend time with your customers? Right. So for instance, and not only in their shoes, like undercover fan, but how many times do you do that? I think the restaurants where the owner will come around and talk to all the tables, that's special. Yeah. But not many companies do that. I go and take selfies with fans for 3 straight innings during games, and I get to talk with them and interact with them and learn. And I think that's so important. We get so in the weeds of just doing as opposed to understanding what drives our customers.
Yeah, because without customers or clients, we don't have
Good luck. Right? Good luck.
Okay, so kind of to wrap it up, I would love to know what is next for Savannah Bananas. What does the next couple of years look like? What big vision can we think about that you're going to help break the rules of baseball?
A great question and great timing on the question. I'll tell you, when we first came to Savannah, it was like, hey, just survive, create something fun, and see what happens. And our vision was to save baseball in that community and build something really special that we built before. 5 years later, we just this past Friday brought our entire team together and presented our vision for the next 3 to 5 years. And it was very exciting. I've never seen a group so fired up to run through a wall together. And if you don't talk about where you're going, I think it's so key to talk about the mission, the vision, but where you're going, get people on board. And now we're leading with vision. So you're going to start seeing anybody we're bringing on our team. Hey, this is where we're going. Do you want to be on the bus? And right. So where we're going, I mean, we broke it down to 4 parts. We were inspired by Michael Hyatt's Vision Driven Leader. And I would suggest that for anybody. I think it's a great book. Michael does a great job. And we're inspired to focus on the exponential, not the incremental, the what, not how, the risky, but not stupid, and develop this based on team, product, sales and marketing, which we don't use those terms. So we call promotion, and then for the impact. And so to be very quick where we're going, I guess the team, we wrote 2 pages of reimagine what the most amazing, best place to work in the world would be. And we had some very unique, crazy ideas in there. And I think we're going to go after that. As far as the product, the Bananas are going to be a 365, 24/7 team. And so imagine what that looks like. Most teams have an off season. They play 30, 50 games. Yep. What would it look like if we don't have an off season? What would it look like when we take the show on the road? What would our ballpark look like? More of a theme park where you go from attraction to attraction to attraction. Whether there's zip lines and Airbnbs, and whether there's a speakeasy hidden inside our ballpark, and different activities for people to go to. And then obviously sales and marketing and promotion, you basically talked about it. How are we going to create attention 24/7 by having a team, a media team of bloggers, writers, videographers contributing to Entertain Always. So that's a snapshot of the vision, but we're going to be sharing it pretty publicly pretty soon, because I think that's important. You need to share your vision over and over again. And you might be amazed on the people that'll come to help you achieve that. And that's what we're going to be doing soon.
Well, I love it, man. I look forward to seeing what you do over the next couple of years. And I really appreciate you taking the time this morning to talk with me. And for everybody else out there, thank you for watching, and tune in next Monday for your next Madak Monday. Jesse, thank you so much. We'll see you. Any last words for the group out there?
No, I appreciate you. Just keep making a difference. On the back of our Fans First playbook, it says, be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. So thank you for giving so much to your followers, and keep making a difference.
Well, your personality and your drive is infectious. So I look forward to seeing more. So thanks a lot, Jesse.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.